Well, it looks like Donald Trump is bowing out of the next debate. He says there will be no third debate. Here's what he put out on his Truth Social. When a prize fighter loses a fight, the first words out of his mouth are, "I want a rematch." Polls clearly show that I won the debate against Comrade Kamala Harris, the Democrats' radical left candidate, on Tuesday night, and she immediately called for a second debate. So did he win? Did he win? And is this true that if you lose, you want a second debate? I think there's also a case to be made that if you've won, especially since what we saw after Joe Biden and Donald Trump, Joe Biden having to step aside. If you win, you might want to do another debate to make the other person look really, even dumber, I suppose. I mean, there's a reason, even if you've won. But we'll go over whether or not he or she won the debate this week. She and Crooked Joe have destroyed our country with millions of criminals and mentally deranged people pouring into the USA, totally unchecked and unvetted, and with inflation bankrupting our middle class. Everyone knows this and all of the other problems caused by Kamala and Joe. It was discussed in great detail during the first debate with Joe and the second debate with Comrade Harris. She was a no-show at the Fox debate and refused to do NBC and CBS. Kamala should focus on what she should have done during the last almost 4-year period. There will be no third debate, says Donald Trump. Okay. Did he win? Did he? Or is Kamala wanting a rematch because she's thinking she won and she wants to win again at the next debate, which would be quite the gamble because, of course, as we've seen from one debate to the next, you could lose. You could, you could look like an idiot in the next debate. But, most people are saying when they're looking at the debate that happened. Now, I don't think there was really any clear winner. I think the losers were the American people. I think a lot of undecided voters have now decided not to vote at all. I think we're going to see record low turnout. I didn't really feel like Trump or Harris killed it. I didn't feel like I don't think anybody was particularly poor in their performance or particularly good in their performance. I think ABC News, the moderators were particularly poor in their performance, clearly having a bias towards Kamala Harris, fact-checking Donald Trump, calling up past statements that Trump had made. And you made these awful statements, you're an awful person, kind of a thing. And Kamala Harris getting away with anything and absolutely everything. So I can understand Trump not wanting to do another debate because of unfair moderators. And I think that's maybe if he's going to say no third debate, I think that's what he should have focused on rather than saying, because I won. I won, obviously, when even people who surround him and who've joined his campaign don't agree, including, surprisingly, RFK Jr. Watch this.
But I just wonder, you're a pretty smooth debater in your own right. Were you painting for Donald Trump? A lot of his biggest supporters say that he just didn't bring his A game to the debate last night. Karl Rove saying that the debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump was a train wreck for him. Do you agree with that?
I thought, or I just watched the previous segment that you did with Doris Kearns, who I've known for, at least 40 years, and her husband, Dick Goodwin, who's very, very close friends since I was a little boy. And I think I haven't seen a better assessment or a more fairly delivered assessment than the one that she gave. I think that Vice President Harris clearly won the debate in terms of her delivery, her polish, her organization, and her preparation. I think on substance, President Trump wins in terms of his governance, but he didn't tell that story. In fact, the first question was an extraordinary lost opportunity because this is a question, and I think Doris pointed out that she never answered, which is, are Americans better 4 years later? And there's really no argument for saying that they are by all the indicia by which you measure social deterioration. We have doubled the inflation rate. The housing rates have doubled in the last 4 years. There's 15 million more people, Americans living in poverty. We have these enormous suicide rates, enormous overdose rates, and we're in 2 wars, and all of these things can be attributed to the poor leadership from the Biden-Harris team. And that's the argument that he should have been making, but he got distracted. And I think it's unfortunate because he, I think he really had an airtight argument for his presidency, but he was not able to make that case to the American public.
Yeah, he really didn't make that case at all, and it would have been so easy to do. I think the current administration, we've seen what they've done to try to rebuild America after the disaster of COVID. And that's really what I think has killed the country. Everything can be really rooted back to COVID, including the immigration, the surge of immigration at the border. It's people that, these countries that were forced to lock down because they were following the West and whatever the West wanted. The West said, you got to lock down. We're all locking down. So all these poor countries started locking down. And that killed their economy, just like it killed our economy. And so when you're already in a poor country and then your economy gets killed even more, what do? You flee to a place where you're going to have a better life, more opportunity. So I think that created the surge of migrants into our country. It also, inflation, what happened during COVID, they printed a ton of money. They started giving it out to everybody because they were shutting down the economy. They said, well, we got to do something. So they gave everybody a bunch of money. They should have never shut down the economy. And that, of course, Thomas Massie said, what do you think is going to happen if we print all of these dollars, go into massive debt, give this to Americans for consumption? There's going to be inflation. And what have we seen? Massive inflation, of course. The Biden administration saying, we got all these jobs, we created all these jobs, which was totally false. Democrats, largely Democratic governors, Democratic mayors, shut down their municipalities, shut down their states. People lost their jobs. During the Biden administration, then they gave them back to these people once they reopened and allowed people to go back to live their normal lives. That's not job creation. I mean, there's so many things that Trump could have hit on that would have been so accurate and so truthful, but he didn't really. We're going to actually let's watch some highlights of this debate, and let's kind of go through some of the answers. Here we go.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
See you. Have fun.
Thank you.
She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist.
Okay. Let's just pause there for a second. So Trump saying, and this is an important point, I think, for people to understand, this idea that Kamala Harris has gone that she's more radical than Joe Biden, she's gone further to the left, that is actually not true. Just she has actually adopted more of Trump's policies. Democrats are now talking about the border. There's all of the things that Trump was championing, especially the border. She adopted, what was it that everybody was making fun of? It was the no tax on tips, right? That was Trump's idea. And then Kamala's like, yeah, no tax on tips. And then let's make that trend. Get all these servers to vote for Kamala Harris. I mean, she's literally been adopting a lot of Trump's rhetoric. It's not more left-wing, talking points coming from. So that's just an interesting point. She's gone more toward Trump, not further away from him.
We're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again.
Lie. And the moderators didn't even point that out. That's a lie. Trump has said numerous times over the last several months, if not longer, that he has nothing to do with Project 2025, that he hasn't read it, that he's not involved in it, that he doesn't plan to do. I mean, it's just a lie, flat out lie.
I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad. They have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before. He said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Okay, that's true. There is no state where that is legal. There are some states, but it's very, very few states who will allow you to have an abortion in the 3rd trimester. The states are Oregon, Colorado, New Mexico, Vermont, and New Jersey, and D.C., I believe. That's it. Those are the only areas in the country that have no restriction on abortion at all. Most of the states in the country have a ban as of right now at 12 to 15 weeks. Previously, before Roe v. Wade was overturned, it was still this same way. California didn't even allow you to have abortions in the 9th month. California stops it at about 24 weeks. So it's got to be earlier than that. A lot of states had bans at around 18 to 22 weeks. Now, since Roe v. Wade has been overturned, 12 to 15 weeks, a lot of states have adopted a 12 to 15 week cutoff. So you have to have an abortion within that first trimester. And I think a lot of people agree with that. I think most Americans agree with that. But I think a lot of Americans would say, but there are a lot of complications that can occur between that 18 to 24 week time, or like 15 to 24 weeks. And a lot of doctors would say, so there's maybe an argument there, but very, very few states will allow you to have an abortion in that final trimester. And that was never determined by the federal government. That was always on a state-by-state basis because of Roe v. Wade. And most states opted not to allow that. So I think that's just an important point to remember as they're having the abortion debate. And Kamala Harris was totally wrong on the abortion debate. Trump was right during the debate when he says, I just brought it back to the states. Republicans aren't making these decisions. The states are. And as the states have decided and as they're voting, they've actually decided to allow abortion. Every single time it's gone up for referendum in states, the voters vote to allow some level of abortion in the state.
One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body.
In Springfield,
Okay, so again, he's not. Federal government isn't. It's now on a state-by-state basis.
eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
ABC News did reach
Let's just
out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here.
Well, I think
Yeah, okay. So fear-mongering about immigrants has been what Trump ran on in the previous elections, both of those, and clearly this one as well. Honestly, throwing this out there just kind of made him look dumb. I think this actually did cause people to, the undecided voters. I think there was a real opportunity for Trump to grab undecided voters. And then suddenly, when he says stuff like this, undecided voters go, oh, okay, here he is again. He has learned nothing. Have there been these reports? I mean, whenever immigrants come into the country, especially when they're coming from a really poor area, they're going to have certain behaviors that are not going to be in line with how we live here in this country. And that has to be taught to them. This is not okay. You don't do this. So I'm sure some really weird and bad things have happened from these immigrants that have come in from Haiti. But I'm sure it's not prevalent. I'm sure it's not pervasive within the Haitian immigrant community. I'm sure it's just like these once in a while stories or something that's happened. But it just really, bringing it up without it being an actual issue really doesn't sit. I mean, that's just, undecided voters are not going to go, they're not going to, this is a turnoff.
I think this is so rich coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing.
Okay, so there's Kamala Harris also turning undecided voters off, because everyone could see that the Democrats went after Trump in political persecution using lawfare, and now she's just rattled it all off for everybody to remember. Good job, Kamala.
I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the
Oh, here we go. Basket full of deplorables is about where she's headed with this line of thinking.
course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation
We do have a lot to
that
get.
went nowhere.
Yeah. Okay. So he definitely could have pointed that out a bit more. That I know he's saying that it was the rhetoric that caused it. Look, they've done absolutely everything to get rid of Donald Trump, including including an assassination attempt, in my view. There was just so much more that Trump could have said to really, I think, win this debate. I don't think there was an opportunity for Kamala to win this debate. I think it was Trump's to lose. Kamala and Joe Biden are in office now. We're literally living under their rule right now. So what are we seeing with our lives? We're seeing they have not been able to rebuild America out from the pandemic that crushed America. They have been unable to rebuild. They make these outlandish claims like, oh, the economy is better than ever. And they lied us. They gaslight us is what they try to do to get us to say, oh, yeah, the economy's better than ever, even though I'm making less money now than I was when Donald Trump was in office before the pandemic. They say to us, crime is down. And we're sitting there looking at our Citizen app saying, no, it isn't. I'm personally seeing a stark rise in violent crime, even just over the last couple of weeks. But you've got them saying, so you've got the Biden-Harris administration, you've got their record right. It's happening as we speak. So many opportunities to go after that record, so many opportunities to say, look, you've had your chance. You didn't do a great job. You guys tore down the economy I built up as president with COVID because you would have done everything and anything to get rid of me and to harm the American people who support me. And I built a great economy. You guys then used the pandemic and tore it down. And then you failed at rebuilding it. Well, I'm going to get back in there and I'm going to rebuild the economy. I'm going to build America back. That's what he could have said, but instead he went down these kind of weird lines of cats and dogs being eaten. It just wasn't a good strategy, and I don't think it worked. So I'm going to say this was Trump's to lose. I don't think Harris won. I don't think, but this was Trump's to lose, and I do think he had an opportunity, didn't take it, and now rather than just say, and I think he's losing people now again by saying I'm not going to do another debate. I think he should go back and do another debate, and next time really hyper focus on the Biden-Harris administration's failure to build America back the way they claimed. That's what he should focus on. He should do another debate. He's not going to do another debate, and I think that makes him lose again. Anyone who denies a presidential debate, I think you look like the loser. I think that's just what happens. Let me know what you think, though. Comment down below or email me, kim@kimiverson.com. We are in such an unstable time. There's political insanity, rumors of civil war, an unstable stock market, and now the looming global threat of a new health emergency. Did you know that there's a bird flu summit coming in October, and it's eerily reminiscent of Event 201 that foreshadowed the COVID pandemic? And get this, the first topic on the agenda is mass fatality management planning. So if that doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what will. But here's the good news. You don't have to be scared if you're prepared. The wellness company created the medical emergency kit, and every home in America should have at least one of these. They're packed with life-saving meds, like meds I'm not allowed to say here on YouTube or you get censored, amoxicillin, even a Z-Pack, and it's all backed by experts like Dr. Peter McCullough. This means no more frantic searches for a doctor, no more emergency waiting rooms, just a few clicks and this kit is delivered to your front door. So in times like these, having your medical emergency kit is not just a luxury, it's really a necessity. Protect your family by preparing now. Head over to twc.health/Kim. Use code Kim to save $45. Don't wait until it's too late. Act now, take control, and ensure you're protected against whatever comes next. So again, that's twc.health/Kim. Use code Kim, save $45 plus get free shipping right now.